Hello, elementary science staff. Thank you so much for joining me today on the August Elementary Science Professional Learning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is David Venny. I am the Assistant Director of STEAM, and I have the privilege of overseeing science, phy-ed, and health for the district. And I work alongside Abby Forrest, who is the Science Content Specialist for the district. If you've not had a chance to connect or work with Abby last school year, I really encourage you to do that this year because she is just an amazing resource with a wealth of knowledge that she can share around science instruction. I'm going to give you a little tour today of what you're doing, and then we'll go into some of the changes and updates to science. So you're at step 1 right now, watching this video. So good stuff there. Watch the rest of this, and then once you're done watching, you'll go on to step 2, where if you click this Google form icon, it will send you to a Google form. And Abby and I are hoping to get some information from you, which is really important for us. So please do take the time to fill out that Google form. Step 3 then is to check out your first science unit overview. If you click your specific grade level, it will send you to a new slide deck where it goes over the very first science unit that you will be teaching this school year. So please check that out after you filled out the survey and watch this video. Step 4 is just a general reminder that Abby and I are here for you. I realize we weren't able to meet in person this time, but we want you to know that we are always willing to help. So please do not hesitate to send us an email, send a Google chat, or both of us have our cell phone numbers in our email signatures. Feel free to call or text us anytime. We really want to help you be able to pull off high quality science lessons for your students. Okay, so let's go into what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do a quick recap of the new additions last year for science. So if you taught science last year, this will be a bit of a review. If you're brand new to elementary science teaching, this will be new news to you. On the CAO website, which is located on the ClassLink page, so here's the icon for the CAO website, and if you click that and you head into the science area of the CAO website and find your specific grade level. So in my example, I'm going to go to first grade on the CAO website. Once I go to the first grade page, I will scroll down to the course materials. You'll notice we've really streamlined these pages to be very simple. Here in this box, if I click this and open it, this is the first grade ELA Science Social Studies Scope and Sequence Google Doc. And this is really a one-stop shop for everything ELA Science and Social Studies related. First grade does not teach science in September, they teach social studies, so I'm going to scroll down to October, which is when they have their first science unit, which is Unit 1, Engineering Design. If I click that, what it will open is it will open the Unit 1 Engineering Design process for first grade. And this is the Google Doc lesson plan that we created last year, and this document has everything you need on it to be able to teach Unit 1 of the HMH curriculum. In this document, it has a unit overview, it has the teacher edition, it has the student workbook, it has a student workbook with answers, and one of the things that I think is really useful is the plug and play teacher slide presentation. So if I click that, this slide deck walks you through step by step the entire first unit of the HMH Unit 1 Engineering Design process. And these slides parallel this Google Doc. So in the Google Doc, it talks about what you're doing each day and what materials you need. This is something we built last year, and the feedback from it has, again, been relatively positive. The one thing I would highlight to make this even better for you all is if you could take some time to fill out these teacher unit feedback forms once you've done the unit. We really do want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly about each of these units and how we can make this resource be as useful as possible for you, the teacher. Another change that occurred last year and will continue this year is we started shipping out science supplies prior to you teaching your science unit. One of my big pet peeves is that classroom teachers spend their own money for supplies. And if you're doing that for science, please stop and start to contact me if you need something specific in order to teach your HMH science unit. When it comes to science supplies, there's really three areas where you could be looking for materials. One is each classroom should have an HMH science kit. And in that kit will be a variety of things, including consumable and non-consumable items. Your consumable items in your HMH classroom kits likely were consumed if you were doing many of the science experiments. And Abby and I fully recognize that your kits may be missing materials. Do not worry, we will be shipping out replacement consumable supplies to your school secretaries, so you do not need to worry if you feel like you look at your HMH kit and you're missing things. We will be sending you those consumable materials. Now, if you're missing a non-consumable, that is something you'll definitely want to contact me about, because we wouldn't assume that the non-consumable materials, like a fan, for instance, would need to be replaced. The second area where you could be looking for science supplies is just in your classroom. Abby and I make the assumption that most elementary classrooms likely have supplies like coloring supplies, whether it be crayons, colored pencils, markers, something like that. We also make the assumption that most classrooms have access to scissors. If that's not true, you'll have to let us know and we can try to help you with that. But we do make some general assumptions that you probably have, say, printer paper available in your school somewhere that you would be able to get, and we call that out as classroom supplies. So if an experiment needs a classroom supply like markers or crayons, we would call that a classroom supply, and we wouldn't send you that. The third way that we would get you supplies, and this was kind of the new addition last year, was we started shipping boxes of materials to the school's secretary. And the secretary would then sort through those materials, and God bless them, they did an amazing job last year, and they would sort the materials by grade level and classroom. So you very well may have received science supplies in your mailbox, or it may have showed up in your classroom. It all kind of depended on how the secretary worked their magic, but you should have been receiving kind of random objects in the mail to help support science instruction, such as string or yarn, paper cups, rubber bands, things like that you might actually need for an experiment that we wouldn't expect you to have in your classroom, and they weren't included with the HMH kit. If you're missing supplies, the first stop would be to check with your secretary and see, did anything come in inter-school mail to help with my science instruction? If they say no, then step 2 is to please contact me, either via email, Google Chat, call me, whatever route you want to go, and how I can quickly get you those supplies. So those are some of the things that happened last year around science. What are the new changes that are coming this year? Well, one is that we developed a new science and social studies scope and sequence for each grade level. And the reason for the change in the scope and sequence from the science end of things anyway, was that through feedback from classroom teachers, we heard loud and clear that starting with a unit late into the HMH curriculum caused problems. So for example, if you were a second grade teacher, your first science unit may have been Unit 6 of the HMH curriculum, because that was the unit that best aligned to your ELA unit. While that sounds good on paper, the problem is that the students were missing a bunch of foundational science knowledge that HMH assumed your kids had because they were on Unit 6, but they hadn't because they didn't do the previous units. So this school year, every grade level starts with Unit 1 of the HMH science curriculum, which is around the engineering design process. It'll teach your kids a whole bunch of great vocabulary words that show up over and over and over again in following units within the HMH curriculum. I believe every grade level starts with science in October, except 5th grade, they start with science actually in September. So there's a little bit of a break between when actually science instruction starts, but in October, we should see almost every grade level except 5th grade teaching Unit 1 of the HMH science curriculum. One other change that we made with kind of the scope and sequence concept was that we really tried to align our science units to be more tight with the priority standard, the NGSS priority standard. So we removed some of the activities that weren't directly aligned to the priority standard, and we tried to make most science units last 8 to 10 days. And in those 8 to 10 days, we have a few must-do items that we are asking all classroom teachers to do. One is that you expose your students to the anchoring phenomenon. This is a kind of like a big catch, a hook, if you will, event that kicks off the science unit and gets kids interested in what they're studying in that unit. Most of the science units have students reading a phenomenal reader to try to help support the ELA goals and the early literacy initiatives. And every unit should have a hands-on investigation. We want our kids to engage in hands-on experiments, and so every unit should at least have one. And it should have some form of an assessment, whether it be paper and pencil, or it could be some sort of project that the students are building or creating something. Each science unit, there is an emphasis around a storyline approach in that the anchoring phenomenon kicks off the unit, and then everything else you do after that anchoring phenomenon supports explaining that phenomenon. Like, why is that happening? Why is that volcano erupting? Why is it raining? And then all the experiments, all the reading, all the stuff you do after that anchoring phenomenon should go back to try to explain it so that you're actually answering that question. The second thing that I'm really hoping our elementary staff can do to help support our middle and high school science teachers is have your students engage in claim evidence reasoning as much as possible. In middle and high school, I'm asking all of our science teachers to have students write claim evidence reasoning papers, if you will, as much as possible. So I'm really pushing writing and this idea of stating a claim, supporting it with evidence, and then backing it with scientific reasoning. Now that may not be appropriate for our K-5 students, but I do feel like it is a fair ask to ask all elementary students to be able to make a claim, a logical statement around something they're seeing, and then to try to support that claim with some evidence. I think those two things are very doable, and if you can do that as much as possible with your students, whether it be in science, social studies, math, or ELA, you actually are helping us in science quite a bit. And then when they get into middle school, when they actually are asked to write claim evidence reasoning, that should be a lot easier for them because they'll have heard that terminology, they'll have used it already with you all, and it'll be an easy transition into 6th grade. The other new thing we've added this year is we've added may-do items to each elementary science unit. And those may-do items could be just additional HMH activities or experiences, or some units we've added some STEAM challenges or STEAM offerings that you can have your students engage in. So if you really want to make a super robust science unit, we do have some more may-do activities that you can include if your kids are just asking for more. So feel free to take advantage of those opportunities. The other new thing that we're adding this year is something called a unit overview. And a unit overview will be a set of slides that goes over a few things. One, it will discuss the resources that are available on the CAO website. There will be a video that discusses the end of unit assessment and the anchoring phenomenon and how the two interact with each other, how they really synergize with each other. And there will be a video explaining the hands-on activity or activities that you'll be asked to do in that unit. I personally think seeing someone else run the experiment first, knowing in advance what materials you'll need, how to do the experiment, some challenges you can expect to see when you run it with your students, and how long it will take, will hopefully help you all as classroom teachers feel more at ease having your students engage in these hands-on investigations. So these videos will be available for you to watch, and either myself or Abby Forrest will be doing them, creating them, and then you'll be able to see what the experiment looks like in advance. Also, these slide decks will have an area for you to fill out a survey to be able to ask for support from Abby, whether that be just an extra set of hands in the classroom, an opportunity for co-teaching, an opportunity for some feedback. She is really there to help you, and I encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. Okay, that's it for me. You've now completed step 1. You've watched a video. The next step is for you to fill out the survey, and then after you fill out the survey, please check out your first science unit overview where you will be able to look at that slide deck and kind of get a preview of what it is you'll be teaching in Unit 1 of the HMH curriculum, which is all around the engineering design process. Thank you so much for your time today. I know it is precious and valuable, and I wish you the best of luck to the start of this school year. And as I mentioned earlier, please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Abby and I are both here to support you in anything and everything science related. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.